This is where Sora Mei enters the picture.
Sora Mei.
Identified as the co-author of this new series, A Song and Dance from Mother Earth. And yes, the blog post makes it very clear there's an intentional veil of mystery surrounding this individual.
How so?
Sora Mei, by choice, prefers to remain behind the curtain. That's the phrase used.
Behind the curtain. That's so intriguing in itself, isn't it? It suggests a deliberate choice to let the work stand completely on its own, or maybe a focus that isn't on personal fame or recognition.
Yeah, and the source elaborates a bit. It says, Sora Mei prefers to let her words speak in whispers, and she uses a pseudonym. It adds this layer of almost quiet reverence to her presence in this project.
And what about her own description? Does she say anything about herself?
The self-description Sora Mei offers is quite evocative, and it immediately signals the heart of her message. She describes herself simply as one who writes for the earth and its children.
Wow, that's powerful. It immediately tells you where her focus lies, doesn't it? That profound connection she feels to the planet, and importantly, to future generations.
Definitely sets the stage.
And what's truly fascinating, I think, is how this collaboration even began. It wasn't through, a literary agent or a publisher hookup or some industry networking event.
No, how then?
It started with a letter, a physical letter sent from Sora Mei to Kay.
Get out. A real letter.
Yeah. In our digital age, that feels almost like something out of a storybook itself, doesn't it?
It really does. Very fitting for a children's book author, maybe. So what prompted the letter?
Well, Sora Mei had read something Kay had written on her blog, Kay's Odyssey, specifically something that touched on protecting the planet.
So there was already an alignment there.
Exactly. That writing resonated so deeply with Sora Mei that it inspired her to reach out, just based on that one blog post.
And she didn't just send a fan letter, I gather.
No, not at all. She shared her own project idea, a vision she had for a collection of timeless tales.
Okay.
And these stories were specifically intended for children, designed to gently address some really big, complex environmental themes. Thinking about things like fire, water, the earth itself, and the critical need for balance in our relationship with these fundamental elements.
Wow. That's ambitious for children's stories,
Yeah.
but also incredibly important. What was Kay's reaction?
According to the source, it was immediate and powerful. She wasn't just polite or intrigued, she was instantly captivated.
Really?
Yeah, instantly captivated by Sora Mei's words and the vision for these stories. It clearly struck a chord with her own feelings about the planet, perhaps stemming from the same impulse that led her to write that blog post Sora Mei saw in the first place.
So a connection was made. What happened next?
A creative dialogue began. They started writing back and forth. It wasn't just a one-off exchange, but an ongoing process. They exchanged drafts of the stories, shared their reflections on the themes, bounced ideas off each other, really shaping how these tales could best make their way into the world. It sounds like a true meeting of minds, driven by this shared purpose.
That sounds like a dream collaboration, honestly.
Yeah.
Organic and purpose-driven.
Totally. And Kay felt a strong conviction about the importance of these stories. She felt they absolutely needed to be shared widely. And she had a specific audience in mind, or maybe a dual audience.
Oh.
Yes, definitely for children, but perhaps even more crucially, for the grown-ups who would be reading to them.
That's interesting. Why the emphasis on the adults?
Her insight was that reading these stories aloud could serve as a potent reminder for adults, reawakening their own intrinsic love and concern for our fragile blue planet, feelings which might have been dulled by the noise and pressures of adult life.
That's a beautiful idea. That children's literature can actually speak profoundly to adults too, maybe even re-engage them. It suggests a dual purpose for the series.
Exactly. And this collaboration, this partnership between the established author known for personal journeys and this mysterious writer for the earth, it was born quietly, as the source puts it, just from that initial letter, and then nurtured through their shared writing process.
And they decided to call the series A Song and Dance for Mother Earth. We mentioned the title earlier. Does the source say anything about why they chose that name?
It does, and it's quite lovely. It captures the essence of their approach. Stories, like songs, have a way of staying with you, don't they? They embed themselves in your heart long after you've heard or read them.
That's true, they resonate.
And the dance part, the intention behind the books and the name itself was crucial. These books were meant to be invitations, not lectures.
Invitations, not lectures. I like that.
Yeah, invitations to wonder about the natural world, to respect its immense power and its delicate fragility, and perhaps most importantly, to care deeply for it and all its inhabitants. It sets a tone that is gentle, encouraging, and and deeply respectful rather than, preachy or guilt-inducing.
Yeah, that approach feels really important for this kind of topic, especially with kids.
I agree. And Kay's perspective on working with Sora Mei is quite telling. She explicitly states in the blog post that collaborating with her has been one of the great joys of the past year.
Wow. High praise.
It really highlights the positive and fulfilling nature of the collaboration, doesn't it? Emphasizing that it stemmed from a shared, deep love for the Earth. It underscores the authenticity of the project, even with Sora Mei's identity remaining private.
It's fascinating how these two individuals, one known for opening up her own life and journey, the other preferring to remain unseen, found such powerful common ground in writing stories for the planet.
It really shows a versatility in Kay's work, moving from the personal memoir and the animal connection to this broader, collaborative environmental focus. And it shows a powerful alignment of purpose with Sora Mei.
Absolutely. And this collaborative process has resulted in a series that directly addresses some of the most significant environmental themes we face today. It's a clear extension of that initial inspiration Sora Mei felt from Kay's writing about protecting the planet.
Okay, so let's dive into the stories themselves now. Within the A Song and Dance for Mother Earth series, as we mentioned, the overall purpose is to explore that powerful and often fragile connection between humanity and the natural world.
And the target audience.
It's listed as aimed at middle grade readers and above, which reinforces that idea we talked about. It's for kids, but also very much for the grown-ups reading with them or even reading on their own.
Right. And the structure. How do the stories work?
Each story, it seems, is structured to delve into moments where the Earth actively responds to humanity's actions. That's a key element.
So it's not just showing human impact, but showing the Earth as a living entity that reacts.
Exactly. These responses then challenge us, the readers, to pause and really re-examine our place in the world and the consequences, intended or unintended, of the choices we make collectively.
And the style.
The style is described as a blend. Part fable, part environmental fiction, but all infused with a really heartfelt narrative. The goal is clearly for these tales to resonate deeply, to stick with the reader and serve as powerful reminders of the critical need for stewardship and compassion towards the planet and all its creatures.
Okay, let's get into the specifics. Book 1.
Right. Book 1 is titled The Day Fire Disappeared, a tale of Earth, animals, and us.
And the inspiration for this story, this is where it gets really poignant, doesn't it? Rooted in a real-world tragedy.
Yes. The source mentions a truly heartbreaking event, the death of a baby red fox in Britain.
Oh, that's awful. How did it happen?
Apparently, it was frightened to death by fireworks. Just the noise and the chaos.
Oh my goodness.
And that tragic incident became a powerful symbol within the story. It represents the suffering that animals and perhaps the Earth itself endure due to human misuse of powerful elements or forces, specifically fire in this case.
So how does the story unfold? What's the premise?
The premise is set in a world we can easily picture, one filled with shimmering cities, dazzling celebrations. You can imagine the lights, the sounds, the spectacle. Much of it likely involving fireworks and other uses of fire for entertainment or, progress.
Familiar scenes.
But within this setting, humanity has, for generations, misused fire. What was once a life-giving force, think warmth, cooking, survival, has been transformed, twisted almost.
It turned
into a weapon in some ways. A tool used recklessly, without thought for the consequences. And this misuse doesn't just impact people, it actively scars the Earth and silences creatures like that little fox. It's a powerful depiction of the unintended, often devastating consequences of our actions on the wider natural world.
So the Earth feels this misuse, this pain.
Yes. And because of this accumulated pain and misuse, the Earth portrayed as having memory and agency, which is a fascinating concept in itself, makes a profound decision.
What does it do?
It takes back the flame, just like that. One morning, fires globally simply vanish.
Wow. Just gone.
Gone. And the consequences of that are explored vividly in the story. Imagine a world without fire. Cold descends, darkness descends. Those shimmering cities dim, their lights relying on power derived from fire or heat.
Celebrations fall silent.
Exactly. No pyrotechnic displays, no warming bonfires. People are left in a state of shock, confusion, and forced by the immediate, undeniable consequences to confront their relationship with fire and their actions.
So it was a story of loss, but is that all?
No. Crucially, it becomes a journey of rediscovery. It explores what it means to return to a time, maybe a more ancient understanding, when fire was perceived differently.
How so?
Less as a tool for power or spectacle, and more as a miracle, a companion, a deeply respected gift.
That shift in perspective is huge.
It is, and the central question the story asks is both simple and profound. Can we, after experiencing its absence, remember fire's true wonder and importance?
And more critically?
And more critically, can we bring it back into our lives not as an instrument of destruction or careless use, but as a symbol of harmony and peace for all beings on Earth? It really frames it as a choice, a responsibility for humanity.
The writing style for this book is specifically mentioned, right? Compared to a classic.
Yes, it's specifically compared to The Velveteen Rabbit,
Oh, wow. Okay.
which immediately suggests a certain style, doesn't it? Simple, yet deeply poetic, filled with quiet wisdom and emotional resonance. It's also described as being meant for reading aloud.
Which emphasizes that shared experience again between adult and child.
Exactly, creating that shared moment of reflection. The intended impact of the story is explicitly stated, to ignite conversations between readers of all ages and, hopefully, inspire change in how we think about and interact with fire and its consequences.
It sounds incredibly powerful. And when is this one due?
This first tale, The Day Fire Disappeared, is scheduled for delivery on June 15th, 2025, so quite soon.
Okay. Moving on to the second book in the trilogy, The Day Water Vanished, A Drop of Life.
Right, shifting the focus to another fundamental element, water.
And exploring what happens when its value is forgotten.
Yes, the premise here really reflects a common human failing, I think, taking abundance for granted. The story begins by acknowledging that for centuries, water was deeply respected, understood as the source of life itself.
But things changed.
But over time, humanity forgot this fundamental value. This forgetting led to widespread pollution, the drying up of lakes and rivers, rain becoming a rare and almost forgotten blessing. Sound familiar?
Sadly, yes.
And then building on that neglect, the unthinkable happens. The water begins to disappear.
Not just becoming scarce, but actually vanishing.
Vanishing. The journey in this story takes us to a world where this most essential element is literally fading away.
And the impacts, how are they shown?
The sources detail the impacts explored in the narrative, and they are far-reaching, as you'd expect. We see the Earth's quiet sorrow depicted, rivers slowing to a trickle, lakes shrinking and vanishing, even the vast oceans beginning to retreat from the shores.
That's a chilling image.
It is. And the plight of creatures is central here too. The source specifically mentions the image of a little fish struggling to survive in a polluted, shrinking river.
Oh, heartbreaking.
And thirsty animals searching desperately for water in dry landscapes. And of course, the confusion and hardship faced by people as their faucets run dry and their wells empty. It portrays a world where the very sustenance of life is being withdrawn.
But like the first book, I'm guessing it's not solely a tale of doom and gloom.
Correct. Much like the fire story, this is not just about impending environmental collapse. It's also fundamentally a story of rediscovery.
Rediscovering water's value.
Exactly. It's about humanity faced with this profound absence, remembering the true value of water, remembering that first drop that sparked life on Earth, understanding the profound interconnectedness of all living things that depend on water, recognizing water's absolutely vital role in every single aspect of existence. The absence forces this essential understanding back to the forefront.
And does it offer hope? A way forward?
Yes. The story culminates in a powerful promise within the narrative, a collective commitment made by the people in the story.
A promise to do what?
To cherish water in all its forms, to share it equitably with every creature that needs it, and to act in ways that ensure its vanishing never ever happens again. It's a hopeful turn, suggesting that awareness can lead to commitment and real change.
It's described again as a fable.
Yes, a timeless fable carrying the weight of ancient wisdom. It serves as a gentle reminder of something we should never forget, and yet, despite its gentle nature, it's also framed as a powerful call to action.
And the lesson.
The ultimate lesson it aims to impart is learning the Earth's lesson of love and respect. Understanding that cherishing water is absolutely essential to keeping the flow of life itself alive.
Another vital message. And the release date for this one.
This vital story, The Day Water Vanished, is scheduled for delivery on July 13th, 2025, just about a month after the first one.
Okay. And finally, completing this initial trilogy, we have the third book, The Day the Sun Slept, The Earth's Silent Plea.
This one is particularly intriguing, I think, because its starting point is rooted in a specific, rather eerie, real-world event.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
Remember that strange occurrence in the Bay Area back in 2020 when people woke up and the sky was just dark, gray, and smoky, even though it was daytime? The sun seemed to fail to rise normally.
Oh, I do remember seeing pictures of that. It looked apocalyptic. Orange skies.
Exactly. It was visually striking and deeply unsettling. The story takes that strange anomaly and uses it as a powerful metaphor.
How so?
The premise is that the sun is hiding, not because of some celestial event, but because the earth itself is weary, wounded.
Wounded by?
By human carelessness and neglect. That's the core idea.
And is it linked to a specific action, like the fireworks in the first book?
Yes, the source connects this directly to the raging wildfires that have become increasingly common and severe in many parts of the world.
Ah, okay. That makes sense with the smoky skies.
Right. These fires, often sparked or exacerbated by human activity and climate change, fill the skies with smoke and literally block the sunlight. Within the story, this becomes a potent symbol for humanity taking too much from the earth, consuming, neglecting, damaging, and giving far too little back in return.
And how is the story told? From whose perspective?
This is really interesting. It's told through the eyes of the earth itself, the sun, and the creatures experiencing this unnatural darkness.
Wow, multiple non-human perspectives.
Yeah, which allows the story to explore the impact of human actions from viewpoints beyond just the human one. It really delves into the delicate balance that exists between humanity and nature and the severe consequences that follow when we fail to listen to the Earth's warnings or respect its needs.
It sounds like it personifies the Earth in a way.
It does. It explores a world where the Earth, overwhelmed by the strain, needs to rest. Much like a tired child who has been pushed too far. That analogy gives it a very human, relatable, emotional core, even when talking about the entire planet.
But again, is there hope? Or is it just about the consequences?
No, absolutely. There's that crucial element of hope woven into the narrative here, too. The story emphasizes that even the smallest action, something seemingly insignificant on its own,
Like what?
like planting a single tree maybe, or choosing to walk instead of drive one day, or just remembering to turn off an unused light. These small acts, the story suggests, can make a difference. When multiplied, they have the potential to bring the light back.
That's a message people need to hear, I think. That small actions aren't futile.
Exactly. It's positioned as both a powerful fable carrying a significant message about our relationship with the planet, and also a deeply heartfelt story. It takes the reader on a journey of rediscovery, emphasizing the need to understand, respect, and remember the fundamental balance we share with the Earth.
And only by doing that.
Only by doing so can we hope to bring the light back and create the possibility for a new beginning, a renewed relationship.
A powerful conclusion to the trilogy. And when is this one coming?
This final book in the initial trilogy, The Day the Sun Slept, is expected on August 15th, 2025. So they're releasing quite close together over the summer.
June, July, August. Okay. Looking across all three of these stories, the fire that vanished, the water that disappeared, the sun that slept, you really see a powerful pattern emerging, don't you?
Absolutely. Each one focuses on a vital natural element, something essential for life.
Then it depicts humanity's disrespect or misuse of that element.
It shows the Earth's response not as a passive victim, but as an active participant reacting to that misuse.
Highlights the consequences, which are often stark and immediate in the stories.
And then, crucially, offers a path towards rediscovery, reconciliation, and ultimately change. It's a very clear narrative arc across all three.
It's not just presenting environmental problems in a fictional context, is it? It's actively offering a narrative framework for finding a way forward, rooted in remembering fundamental principles of respect and balance.
Which brings us, I think, to the broader resonance of these stories, and maybe the most important question for you listening. Why do these particular environmental fables matter so much, especially today?
Yeah, what's the so what?
Yeah.
The series as a whole is dedicated to a very specific purpose: fostering a greater understanding of environmental stewardship and cultivating compassion for all living beings.
Connecting the incredibly detailed and moving narratives of each book back to those high-level goals. These books are designed to do more than just entertain, right?
Far more. They explicitly aim to ignite conversations.
Between kids and adults, within families, maybe in classrooms.
Exactly. And to inspire concrete change in how we think about and interact with the natural world. This is the core so what. They offer a gentle, accessible, and deeply human way to approach some of the biggest, most complex, and often overwhelming issues of our time.
Things like climate change, habitat loss, pollution, issues that can feel paralyzing.
Precisely. For many people, especially younger readers, but also for adults who might feel completely overwhelmed or just shut down by the scale of environmental problems, these stories provide an entry point, a way in.
How do they do that?
Well, they bypass the dense scientific data and the often polarizing political debates, and they speak directly to the heart through metaphor and narrative, through story.
They challenge us all then to really look closely at our individual and collective place in the world.
Yes, and to confront, but in a non-accusatory, non-judgmental way, how our actions impact the planet that sustains us all.
And they serve as powerful, maybe much needed reminders of the deep, undeniable interconnectedness of all life on Earth.
Absolutely. The fate of that little fox we talked about is linked to human behavior with fireworks. The disappearance of water impacts the struggling fish and the thirsty animals just as much as the people with dry taps. The dimming of the sun affects the creatures living in darkness as well as the cities. We are all part of this one intricate system.
As Kay herself highlights in our blog post, stories possess immense power. You really feel that coming through here.
Yeah, she talks about how stories can heal us emotionally, awaken us to new perspectives, and critically for this series, they can change the fundamental way we interact with the Earth.
She uses that beautiful, really memorable phrase that the stories can change the way we dance upon this Earth.
Dance upon this Earth. I love that imagery.
Me too. It's so much more evocative than just walking on it or living on it. It implies lightness, rhythm, respect, a symbiotic relationship rather than one of dominance or just extraction.
Moving in harmony with the planet, not just imposing our will upon it.
Exactly. And interestingly, the series, despite its profound environmental message and the passion behind it, is positioned quite humbly in the source material. It's called A Small Offering.
A small offering. But the hope embedded in that small offering is significant, isn't it? It's the belief that even something seemingly small, like a collection of children's stories, born from a quiet letter between two writers, has the potential to grow, to spread, to ignite imaginations.
And ultimately, to inspire wider change in how we care for our shared home.
It echoes that idea within the stories themselves, doesn't it? That small actions like that single drop of water being cherished or that small spark of light returning can be the beginning of something much larger and more hopeful.
A really nice parallel. And for those interested in connecting further with this project, the source does mention a social media presence you can check out. It's at Stories by Sora Mei.
At Stories by Sora Mei. Good to know. A way to perhaps continue the conversation these books aim to start.
Exactly. So to recap this deep dive into Kay's work and this fascinating collaboration.
We've seen her journey as an author, from the introspective self-discovery of her Diary of Clichés series.
And the ongoing, clearly heartfelt adventures documented in The Adventures of Sally the Rescue Pup.
Right, to this quite different but equally personal collaboration with the mysterious Sora Mei.
We've explored how this unique partnership, born from a simple, inspiring letter and fueled by a shared, deep love for the planet, led to the creation of the A Song and Dance for Mother Earth series.
And these aren't just environmental lessons packaged as stories. They're compelling, poetic fables about fire, water, and the sun. Rooted in real-world consequences, but offering clear paths to rediscovery and hope.
The stories are crafted as invitations to wonder, to respect, and ultimately to care. They're intended to resonate deeply with both children and the adults who share them.
Reminding us all of our vital connection to this fragile blue planet and inspiring us, hopefully, towards environmental stewardship and compassion for all life.
And if we take Kay's point to heart, that small actions are acts of love for the planet, like planting that tree or consciously conserving water or energy. And if we think about that beautiful image she uses of dancing upon this earth, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other everyday choices, things that might seem small or insignificant right now, might actually be considered a song or perhaps a dance for Mother Earth?